Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Liz. I'm a collage artist, and today I'm going to show you how you can start making your very own collages using recyclable materials that you probably already have at your home or that are just very accessible or inexpensive. So we are going to start with materials, move on to composition, and I'll show you a few techniques. So let's just get into the materials. Okay, my favorite, sharp objects. I have a pair of medium to large scissors for cutting bigger paper, and then I also have smaller embroidery scissors for cutting more intricate things. I find it's helpful to have both, but honestly, to get started, you just need one. So whatever you have lying around your house, just grab that. Secondly, you're going to need something to glue with. And I am using a Scotch wrinkle-free photo-safe glue stick. Highly recommend to use something that says non-toxic or photo-safe because it's just going to be a lot better for your paper. Whatever you make will last longer. Hey guys, I did want to come in and talk about a tool that I forgot to include originally, which is the X-Acto knife. And since I do use it in this video, I would actually recommend an X-Acto knife. They're fairly inexpensive, and it's just going to take your collages up a notch. You're going to need a cutting mat. This is the 24 by 18 cutting mat, but really any size will be fine. I have 3 different sizes. The other 2 are smaller than this one. Other than that, our last but not least, bare minimum for collage is going to be paper. Both the background, well, I guess let's talk about the background. So you'll want, at the very least, everyone has printer paper, so you can get started with that, just because it's a little bit thicker than, let's say, lined paper. So if that's all you have is printer paper, that's fine. You can start there. But eventually, you might want to get something a little bit sturdier, or if you do have cardboard lying around because you don't want to go get mixed media paper like I have here. But what I like about mixed media paper is that it's going to work with just about anything you glue to it. Right? And then for source paper, because obviously we're going to create from images that we find, I love to use magazine paper, especially good quality magazine paper. So here I have a National Geographic. Either use any old subscription that you have, or if you don't have magazines at home, you can get them for free, honestly. I wouldn't say go buy a brand new magazine unless you're so inclined, but you can often get magazines from thrift stores for free outside, or if you ask them, a lot of the time they might have just a bin that they are just going to toss anyway. So maybe there, or the library as well has usually a recycling bin where they recycle old magazines or books even. So for example, I have this old book. It's got illustrations, and I like this old yellowing of the pages that you could also incorporate into your collage. But again, it's all a preference thing, and this isn't like a must-have, but another material that I like to use, hole puncher or circle cutter. This one's a 1-inch one, and then I just have a smaller hole puncher here. But again, those aren't must-haves, they're just if you like those certain shapes. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Composition. So when it comes to art, to draw more interest, you want is symmetry for balance. When it came to this one, I wanted to balance it with another shape down here that's very similar. Paper wise too, the up top and up on bottom, but I wanted to draw more attention to up here. And then even this image right here follows a very similar texture to the background and to the circular pattern. Incorporate varying textures and sheens to draw interest. Also, white space is something to consider for sure when you're creating your collage. How much of the whole page are you going to cover, and how much are you wanting to have as a contrast or a breathing room for the main subject of your collage? So for example, focal point. The focal point here, you may have guessed, is the figure in the center, right? But you don't always have to do it in the center. And then here I used old sheet music to just add another layer. So layering is a technique that is very common in collage, is to use layering. And so I'm going to show you how I collage an image from the National Geographic here. So you're going to follow along with me, and you could grab your own magazine and start flipping through it. So this is going to be like one magazine challenge. Even though I showed you different examples of things that you could collage, today I just want to keep it simple and use one source material to create a collage. Especially if you're new to this, it'll seem a lot more doable. Let's collage. So let's flip through this National Geographic from 1989. Smokey the Bear. So we have black and white here. Sometimes I like mixing black and white with colored images. Faces like this are really interesting to do something with, to turn it into a surreal collage. A few things did catch my eye, including these really old metal objects from inside this drawer. There could be something I could do with that. Well, I don't even need the X-Acto knife for this. Rip it out. There's not really anything on the back that I'm using. So there's that. These are cool, but these almost look animated. I don't know if you can see. I hope there isn't a glare as I'm filming this. It's later in the day, so I have the overhead light. So bear with me. More black and white images, and it should be a little too big. I was gonna say maybe she's hanging on to this drawer of metal objects, but I think she's a little too large. I was talking about playing with scale of things, especially if we're making a surreal collage. It's really fun. These colors go with this scenery. Maybe it can be a Dali type thing where these objects are dispersed throughout the landscape. So you never know what you're gonna find. Sometimes unexpected things happen. Oh, there's this guy too. But I think that one is good. But right now I'm leaning towards this scene right here. You know what? I am gonna cut out these objects and insert them into the scene that I'm imagining. Even these are really gorgeous artifacts, but I might just use this larger one and this larger one. So I'll be fussy cutting these, which I will show you what I mean by fussy cutting. You might already know, but if you don't, we'll get to that. There's always these. These will be easier to cut out, or these. That is it. So I'm gonna cut this out or rip it out. This is the landscape, and I want to be able to connect this side from this side. But as you can see, I need to be really careful not to rip into this, or same with this page. So I'm gonna grab my X-Acto knife here. Be very careful cutting out the page. Let's see, where's my ruler? There it is. Okay, just to keep the line even straighter as I'm cutting this. Wish me luck. There's a little bit of resistance up here. But sometimes I can get it though. There we go. Whew. That actually was not bad. Not too bad anyway. It's not perfect, but it is pretty close. I can definitely work with that. So there you have it. I was a little nervous doing that, but we got it. So next steps. So I'm going to start with this one, the very first one I wanted to use for this collage. Small scissors here to cut out some of these. I hope this is showing up well on camera because the colors are quite dark and they looks like it's reflecting or causing this glare on the glossy black, but see, like even when I set it down there, here I'll set it right there, hopefully it shows. Actually, let me grab a white sheet of paper, just a second, or let's just use the back of this, back of the mixed media sketchbook. I don't know where you live, but where I am, it's starting to get a little bit warmer, but not a lot. Today really felt still really cold and rainy. Right now that I'm inside, I haven't turned on the heater, but it feels kind of warm. Maybe because I'm like moving around and my cat's sitting on me. She kind of provides a lot of warmth too. You guys let your pets, like when you're doing some creative work, or you guys like to just be completely alone? Me, I like both, as long as my cat's like not trying to get directly on my stuff. Like if she's just by me or on my lap, it's fine. But this is what I mean, getting these small details or fussy cutting these small details. Even though these are fairly easy because there isn't a lot of little nooks to get into. But when you really start getting into those nooks, that's harder. And this shape is also just like these rounder shapes are easier. When there's thin things like this though, it does get a little bit more difficult. Sometimes I'll go in there with the X-Acto knife for that, but sometimes I'll just leave it too because I don't want to risk pulling it on it too hard and then it just rips off. So there we have those little pieces. That's a good start, I think. Okay, let's take a little pause. I actually had to stop filming because it just got too dark and the lighting just wasn't very good, and also my framing was off. So I do apologize for you weren't able to see what I was doing for some of it, especially like the smaller, cutting out some of these smaller pieces. But I can show you here how they turned out, and you can see it in hopefully better light here. I'm gonna figure out how I'm going to insert this into it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut here and then around these objects, probably cut out this top drawers, and then also this side one. Start with this side. Okay, so I just cut along this mountain side here and tucked in this large drawer right there. Next, I want to see if I like this here, where she's grabbing her hat. Holding on to the spoon. Like that. My other idea was to set this wheel thing on her head. Before I cut in with the blade, I like to see where the object is going to fit in best. So I find the natural curve in whatever background I'm working with or setting I'm working with. Time to show you guys a technique in both layering and fussy cutting, and how I go through the different steps to position an object between other layers of objects. And when the object doesn't fit, just reposition it. Sometimes that makes for an even more interesting composition. So don't be afraid to just experiment with the placement of your objects. So for this part, I found this object that looked like it could be a part of the horse's armor, and I cut around the woman's leg, slid it underneath her leg, just to give it more dimension. Well, this was super fun to create. I hope you had a lot of fun and created your own collage along with me. And if you didn't, no worries. Just make sure you rewatch anything that you missed or still have questions about. I did glue this down onto my mixed media paper, and that's why I'm able to move it around and such without it bending. So we covered a lot today, including material, composition, and collaging techniques. I hope you learned something. If you did, please like this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of any of the process, and if you have any suggestions for other videos that I should do. So I'll see you guys next time. Happy collaging. Bye.